Hi, I'm Sophie, and welcome to my world. You know, I do a lot of duct tape workshops in the local libraries in the San Francisco Bay Area. And when I was at one the other day, they also had these other craft projects going on, and one of them was the most intriguing thing I'd ever seen. They took a CD and they turned it into a weaving loom. Now, I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I'd never seen it before, and I asked one of the little boys who was in my duct tape class, how did you learn how to do that? And he said, well, they were teaching us earlier at the library. And so he showed me how to do it, and now I'm going to show you how to do it. So for this project, I'm going to need some yarn, and in this case, I've chosen 3 colors, scissors, an old CD, make sure that nobody is using it, and that it's okay for you to have it, and a paper clip. Now, in this case, I'm also going to be using a little tiny bit of duct tape, and that is to make sure that my paper clip stays closed. So I'm going to take this little piece of duct tape, it's just about 3 inches long there. I'm going to rip it so that it's in half, and I'm just going to make basically a needle out of this. I'm just going to wrap it around so that there's no edges to get stuck on my yarn. There we go. That's my needle. Okay, first thing first, I'm going to need about 4 to 5 feet of yarn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's always better to have a little extra than not enough. Now, I'm going to be wrapping this around my CD 13 times. You always want to do an odd number. Now, you could do less if you want to, or you can do more if you want to, but I found that 13 is a great number, and the thing about it is you want to make sure you have an odd number. That's really important. Odd, 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 odd. Okay, I'm going to take my string, my yarn, feed it up through, and then I'm just going to tie a regular standard knot. Here we go. Tie it once and tie it twice. And I'm just going to slide that knot to the center there. And I've got that little piece of tape, and I'm actually going to tape this just to keep it from getting in my way. Right there, just to keep it out of the way. Okay, now what I'm going to do, slide that there, take my other end, feed it through my needle. And now I'm going to wrap this 13 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now don't worry about it bunching up right now. That's okay. 5, just keep count. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I can pull them around, 12, and the last one here, 13. Like I said, you can do more if you want to, but I found that 13 was a good number. Okay, let's just count as we move these around. So I'm going to lift up this tape, just tape both these pieces here just to make sure. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Now I can pull up this tape, and I'm going to tie these 2 off. And this is just, again, another standard little knot. Tie that off, and tie that off. Now I'm going to cut this bigger piece off. I'm going to leave the small piece here. Now what I'm going to do is get my next thread, which is my weaving thread, and in this case I'm going to start with blue again. And you know, this is where you don't have to get worried about too much about the exact length of this, because it's going to be changing just like you would a God's eye. You're going to change as often as you want to. So I'm going to take this one, and I'm just going to tie it as tightly as I can to that thread, or yarn I should say, where we started our knots. And I'm going to just try to get that as tight as possible so that it's in the back there. And now I'm going to snip this because I don't need this anymore. Okay, got my needle. And now I'm going to start weaving. Now what I want to do is scooch this around just so that that circle goes, that knot goes on the back side of that circle. Okay, and then I'm just going to spread these guys out a little bit so they're nice and pie wedged, like the spokes of a wheel. There we go. And the main thing is, the main thing here is what's really important, what I was told by my young charge there, was that you've got to make sure that you have an odd number. Okay, so under, over. Pull it through. Under, over. Pull it through. Under, that's under, over, under, over, under, just like regular weaving. It's kind of a combination of like sewing and weaving. Over, under, and we just keep going around the circle. Over, under, over, under. And see how it's starting to form the weaving pattern? You're just going to keep going around and around like this. Now the reason I chose 13 as my number is because you can see how nice and tight it is at the center because the spokes are so close. But as you get farther and farther out, what happens is these spokes get further and further away. And what that means is that you've got longer distance for your yarn to travel. And what happens is it starts to spread out and pile up on itself. So let me show you. The first one I ever tried, I only did 7 spokes. And see how chubby it got there? See how it sort of kind of piled up on itself? I had to make sure that I was always coming back and pulling it out. When you have more spokes like this, you don't have that sort of situation. But here you can see the yarn has a long distance to go before it gets tucked under. And so what happens is it starts to bunch up on top of itself, and it makes it puffier. Now, if you like that look, then just do less spokes. Okay, now let me show you what I'm going to do next, which is actually change colors here. All right, so give yourself enough thread, and I'm going to switch here to red. This is important, the way you tie this off. And I hope that you can see this. All right, take your blue thread and your red thread. Cross the blue thread over top of the red thread to make an X. Now take your blue thread, wrap it around the red thread. So it's like it's giving it a hug. It's like a DNA strand almost. Okay, now what you want to do is cross the two again. Red's on top this time, blue's underneath. And now take the red, push it through the hole so you end up with what looks like a figure 8. And then pull in the opposite direction, and you now have a nice knot. Okay, a nice strong knot. And now you can cut pretty close to that knot, and it won't come apart. So take your needle, thread it through, and once again, wherever you left off, in this case it's over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and just keep going. Now, I've got one that I've continued to do all the way to the very, very end, so I just want to show you how to finish this off. All right, so this is what it'll look like when you get to the outside. As you can see, I've added different colors. And when you get to your very last ones, this is an under. I'm going to go over, and this is going to be my last one for under. I'm now going to tie it off so that I can hang it. So I'm just going to pull it around to the back here, the back side here. There we go. Okay, now all I'm going to do is I went under, Now I'm going to wrap this one under again. And I'm going to come through the loop there just to tie this off. There we go. And that's it. It's all set. And that's all there is to taking some yarn and a CD and turning it into a woven work of art. For more great ideas that I've learned and I can pass on to you, come and check us out at Sophie-World.com.